Greetings from R. Frederick Riddle at Christian News and Views. This is episode 94, Friday Recap. So let's get started on this and see what's been going on, and I have something to add here. But Monday news, we talked about an explosive meeting. A meeting that had taken place on the previous Friday between President Trump and President Zelensky. It was an outright disaster. Um, President Zelensky made the mistake of lecturing President Trump in the Oval Office, and President Trump made the mistake of thinking he had all the facts. An argument ensued, and the rare minerals agreement was not signed. There has been some interesting comments about this meeting, most of which seem to make matters worse. But then, this is not about one man's failure. Was enough to go around. But as I said in my opinion at that time, let me make one thing clear. I still have confidence in President Trump. The information he was fed that Europe had been paid back or was going to be paid back doesn't fit with what I've been reading, and as one European said, it was gifted. They don't expect a repayment back. So then on Tuesday, I had the Ukraine follow-up. While Republicans supported, and this is my opinion, or rather actually the opening statement here, while Republicans supported President Trump, President Zelensky triumphed in Europe. Republicans called for Zelensky to resign while they focused on his disrespect of President Trump. It is also said that Zelensky didn't show any gratitude. And I talked about this at length. I think he did show gratitude. He just didn't show it in the proper channels. And we'll see how that turned out later in a few moments here. That I spent some time on this. I'm going to go through the whole thing today. Let's move on to Wednesday. So in Wednesday, it's called the Trump Triumphant, and this was after his Tuesday night. I don't know what the correct title for it was. They kept saying it wasn't the State of the Union, but it was his address to Congress and to the nation. So the headline I had was Trump Triumphant. And then there was a headline in the paper, and I don't think I have that paper with me anymore. But the the headline itself of the article in the paper was great, but that's it. The article itself was a typical AP, what I would call hit job. They don't get it. So he began. So here's what I'm talking about here is that his speech. He began his speech by listing accomplishments and goals. So I covered just a few, and that was actually quite a few. But there was a lot of them I didn't cover too, because he was going so fast, boom, 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 down his list, that I would be still writing on one, and he'd be down to the next one, and so forth. So I had to do a lot of abbreviating and then reconstruct them afterwards. So I did miss a few. But basically, here was my opinion of the day. I said this. This was by all accounts a great speech. It showed Trump at his finest and the Dems at their worst. Spoiled brats who didn't get their way. So there were many shocked opinions or comments that were heard around the country at the Dems' crude, immature, and heartless acts of not applauding the everyday heroes, such as the 13-year-old boy fighting, I believe it was a brain tumor, and others who were highlighted. That was, I'm being nice when I say that they were, what was the terms I used here? Crude, immature, and heartless. I'm being nice when I say that. There's no excuse for that kind of behavior. I don't care if you don't like Trump. I don't care if you don't like his policies. What did that kid do to you? If somebody else had pointed that kid out, you would have been all over it. You've been happy for him. The fact that he was recovering, the fact that, or at least that he's been able to survive longer than I think they gave him time for, and the fact that he was actually made a what do you call it, a temporary, or I don't really think it was the word temporary, but he was made a member of this Secret Service, and it's an honorary position, but it was something that was really nice. When the president didn't have to do it, it was nice that he did it, and it showed him at his best, and that's probably why the Dems didn't want to show Trump any credit. But see, this is what it is. They're so immature that they cannot see beyond um, their childishness. The United States, for instance, well, I can understand why they would oppose the stopping of the illegal immigration. That was their pet project. But beyond that, there's some good news there about the United States. And they just sat there on their hands, holding up these stupid signs that said false. They were holding it up even before he spoke, which tells you that they didn't have any idea whether it was true or false or whatever. And what he said was true. He had the facts, and he was able to spell them out. And so their attitude was just so you just don't understand it. These are supposed to be people who care. They love you. They really want to have the best for you. And then they show that kind of hatred. They show that kind of immaturity. They show that kind of uh, uh, total disrespect for human life and for that little young boy and for the young man later on. It just was unbelievable. Growing up, I've never been a Democrat. And they've had their problems. They've had fights and so forth. Some of them they had watched them on TV. But the thing is, I never thought they didn't care. Is that they had a different attitude, a different approach to things. But their attitude and during that speech showed a lack of empathy, a lack, like I said, maturity, a lack of understanding, a lack of humanity. The very things they say they believe in, they defied. They set them aside. They believe in tolerance. They were intolerant. They believe in uh, loving your neighbor. Well, they certainly didn't love that young man. Uh, they didn't love the 13-year-old. They didn't love the other one. As I think he was a older teen. I believe so. And so the thing is that different people that were presented there had heartbreaking stories. You can applaud them. You can be grateful that they are getting some recognition and some help without you having to cross your principles, if you have any. But they showed they don't have any principles. It's whatever is their biggest principle they have today is if it's Trump, it's wrong. If it's Trump, I hate it. It has anything to do with Trump, I hate it. And that is unfortunate to say the least. And it's unfortunate for them, but it's unfortunate for us as a country because we need to have representatives and senators who are empathetic, who care, who want the very best. They're free to disagree on different issues. They're put there so they can work things out, talk to one another and work things out. And they're showing that they don't have that in them. They don't belong there. Too bad no one's on the Democratic side has thought of having a recount or a new election. Get rid of these people because they're not representing the people who elected them. On Thursday, I normally have a Bible talk, and I have to apologize to you. I simply didn't have the time available to create a Bible talk and had to cancel it. It was my fault. I didn't plan it ahead like I should have, and I got caught up in some other things and didn't take the time to prepare it. And I wasn't ready for it. Now, I would rather cancel that than to go on and not have something of some kind of quality, well, not some kind of quality that you would you might value, that you can learn from and use. And so I thought the best thing to do is just cancel it and pick it up again next week. So that's what I'm going to do, or what I did do. It was on me, and I kind of worked really hard to make sure it doesn't ever happen again. So that's it, pretty much it for today. I just want you to understand that. Oh no, wait a minute! I'm not done yet. I have this one more thing here. Yeah, Trump made a change in course a little bit, and so what he's done is he's delayed the tariffs that are on Mexico, a good number of their high percentage of them, and then some of them on Canada. And with the case of Mexico, they were all set to have some countermeasures, and this would have created some kind of a trade war. Um, Not sure they would have won it, but they made some changes, and they made some. The president of Mexico, she made some adjustments on their side, especially about uh, the border and stuff like that. And so some moves were made. Now, whether these moves will have anything to do with the long term, this is just a pause. So there's that to me that means okay, I'm going to pause them, and we're going to talk to you, and you talk to us, and we can see if we can come to some kind of agreement. Otherwise, when the pause runs out, I think it's a 30-day pause, then we're going to restore them. And so right now they're at a pause. Same thing with Canada. They're giving them a pause on some of the tariffs. And so that's always an improvement. That is something that can have a long-term effect. Um, the paper went on and talked about the on again, off again. That's making people nervous. Well, if they actually looked at their own reporting on this thing, it shouldn't make them nervous. Trump is being gracious. They made some initial moves. He liked the moves, and so he's rewarding them with a pause, a delay, if you will. And so sometimes reporters, especially AP, yeah, that was AP, uh, they they just don't get it. Uh, if it doesn't fit their agenda, they're almost as bad as the Democrats. I'll tell you. Uh, they they have this filter system, and it sort of filters out they report the news, and then they get onto their agenda, and sometimes their agenda is, when compared to the very news they just reported, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Uh, I can remember the day when I was a young man. AP was really considered very good. Back then, you got some good balanced reporting. Their opinions were left for the opinion page. And since they started putting the opinions in their documents, their reporting, their articles, and treating them as though those are facts as well, they've gone downhill, and I'm very disappointed in them. Anyhow, that's it for this week. I hope that you've enjoyed this channel. You enjoy my take on the news. It is from a Christian worldview, and it is definitely my opinions. I don't speak for any other body of, I don't government or non-government. I simply take telling you my opinions upon what is going on. So if you enjoyed this, right down below here, there is a spot. If you have not subscribed yet, then why not do it? It's something that uh, that you can, uh, when you do that, you get benefited. For instance, this is Christian News and Views that you're watching right now, where I give the news with a Christian viewpoint. But I also have another podcast called Becoming a Published Author is Fun. And I use this to provide information that you can use. If you want to be a published author, maybe you don't know how to write, or maybe you're struggling with your writing. I give information out. Recently, I've been doing it on different topics. Some of it was on organizing yourself as a business person. Um, and then I have others that are coming out, either have or will be in the future coming out, dealing with different aspects of writing. I've done it in the past, and I'm continuing to do it. I'm revisiting some subjects of the past and coming out with new material, a new way of looking at things, perhaps, but just a new way of communicating them to you and trying to help you out so that you don't have to go through the school of hard knocks. It's all free to you. You may have to go somewhere else and buy a tool or subscribe there or there, but with me, it's free. It is true that I have a course. It is true that I have a ministry publishing. And yes, that's true, I'm selling those. But this podcast provides you critical information that you can use now. So I encourage you to subscribe, and I will do all in my power to create episodes that will inform, encourage you, and inspire you in the Christian News and Views, to inspire you to, one, is to stick with your Christian viewpoints, to stick with the scriptures. The world we live in today is very humanistic and very worldly. And so you need to have that anchor, and the scriptures are your anchor. Stick with them. Especially if you're using the King James Version Bible, you have the whole Word of God. No errors. Contrary to what most people on the other side they will say, oh yeah, you have tons and tons of errors. But when they go to point them out, you look at them and you say, well, one, you came at it with a bias in the beginning. The bias was wrong. You misinterpreted it, or you willfully are changing it. The There may be a spelling error there or not. Maybe a punctuation or something like that. But doctrinally, no, there's no error. And I've gone to great lengths to demonstrate that in uh, well, actually, in the Bible talks that I normally have every week. And so that is going to resume next Thursday. And I hope that you visit that. But in the meantime, that is something I want to inspire you with, to encourage you, and to not only get the King James Version Bible, but to depend. The Word of God is something that we can have trust. And you can't have one version here, and one. It's got to pick. You got to pick one. I'm saying that the one you pick is the King James Version. If not that one, then you have the others to pick. But those are flawed. They all go back to Alexandria, Egypt, and are flawed. Period. So I say the King James Version. But that's not the only thing that can inspire you. If you want to be a writer, I'm trying to inspire you there too. So please, take the time to subscribe, and you can also follow, and that way you not only get my episodes right into your channel, but you'll get, if you follow, you will get notifications to your email. That's it for today. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode.